All right, we're doing this as a public service. Tornadoes, hail, pretty severe weather in central Texas. I'm just going to stream some stuff. Hopefully, it'll be helpful for you. Be safe out there. Here we go.
Those estimates from here are going to say Henegg, but that could be a little bit more. We also have the hail core near Copper's Cove. We have additional hail cores down to the south.
Yeah.
These could be chucking out some tennis balls when you see these colors. So near Shortall, like you said, Kipner, and down along 183. I'm going to go ahead and query that, but this might be underdoing it a little bit. That's going to say Henegg. It's probably a little bit more. Here's what it looks like from a reflectivity standpoint. You can tell that we've got some pockets of hail up and down the line. There's a severe thunderstorm warning for that, by the way. Burnett County, you've got one. The very eastern fringe of Lampasas County, you have a severe thunderstorm warning, and it looks like western Williamson has one now too.
Could be a little bit of a hook developing here as well. So we'll watch that southeast of Lampasas. Nothing imminent yet, but could be a little bit of a hook. Looks like the reds and greens trying here a little bit, so we'll watch that right along 183 northwest of Briggs. And then as you head back into Bell County, again, this is where we have our parent circulation that has been very persistent. Now south of Flat, continuing off toward the southeast. So this is what Josh has been looking at the whole time. This is from GRK, correct?
This is.
It doesn't look quite as prominent as it did. We don't have those bright colors together, but it's close, and it still could be, it may be reorganizing just a little bit. So I'll put my hand here. Let's go back to reflectivity. Yep, right there. It's still correlating very nice. Could be kind of recycling just a little bit, and we may not have quite the tornado potential that we had just a few minutes ago, but it's still going to be right in here. It's about to cross the Coryell and Bell County line, and it will be very close to the north side of Lake Belton pretty soon. So which way is our Belton cam looking?
That's a good question. We can get that up and running in the meantime.
All right, we got it. Let's look at our Belton cam. Clark Roofing, Belton
Yeah,
cam.
I believe Hannah can pull that up.
So that's looking off toward the northwest. There's your mesocyclone right there. So that's going, okay, so that's going, looks like that, again, right in the middle of your screen, on the left-hand side, middle to left, that's where we're going to see all the rotation associated with that. On the right-hand side of the screen, that's hail falling from that. On the left-hand side of your screen, that is a bunch of hail, wind, and the potential for a tornado in there as well. So that's looking up from Dead Fish Grill to the northwest over Lake Belton there on our Clark Roofing cam. And again, it's a mean-looking storm, but we can't see any of the definition because it's likely still wrapped in the rain. But that's going to be an important shot as that continues to make its way closer to Lake Belton. You need the water in Lake Belton, you just don't need the severe weather. And we'll be watching that one closely as it continues down the southeast. Any more updates there?
Ham radio, this is from Gatesville. Numerous trees down, one tree into a house. Fire department is responding, so that's Gatesville. We were looking at circulation near Gatesville. I don't know that that is going to necessarily be tornado damage because I don't know that correlates well with what we were looking at earlier. So that could be wind damage. Possible that that was straight line wind damage, but we'll hope to hear more from that. But that's from Ham Radio, County Road 146 in Gatesville. Numerous trees down with one of those trees into a house. The National Weather Service has kind of trimmed up the tornado warning a little bit. So for places that are in the clear, at least from the tornado, that's going to be places to the west of Flat. These are very rural areas, but generally to the out towards Pidcoke, there is no more tornado warning there. But it continues until 4 o'clock for the red box that you still see here, and that's going to include parts of Belton and certainly Lake Belton, and runs right up to 317. I think that's where Whitehall is, because I know Moffat's there. So yeah, Whitehall is out there too. And this is going to continue until 4 o'clock. The latest word is that it's still a severe thunderstorm capable of producing a tornado.
Right up into here. It's blowing right up into here. That's the circulation just west of the Grove, about to cross the Bell County line. Josh, what do you have?
I'm by the Grove Water Tower. On the right side of me, I see a new wall cloud developing, a new lowering, some rising motion up into it as well.
All right.
So I think we're going to be coming up close to the bridge of 36 over Lake Belton. We'll point back to the west so you can see this when we get there.
All right. So Josh doing a really good job out there. We have our Clark roofing cams looking at it as well, and we're going to continue to watch this very closely as it makes its way into Bell County. We have a lot of eyes on this. Unfortunately, it's probably still wrapped up into the rain, but it's going to cross the county line here. This is where our circulation is, just about to move inside the Bell County line, just west of the Grove, west of Highway 36. So folks, west of the Grove, between 36 and Killeen, if you live in that little slice there of Bell County, go ahead and take your tornado precautions now, as this is now moving across, especially if you live near Lake Belton. Let's go to the velocity products real quick.
Okay.
Still there. It's not quite as pronounced as it was. We're not getting it, but there's still a lot of rotation that is being indicated by that. So we're at least going to get hail. We're likely going to get high winds out of this as well. We've had damage reported in Gatesville from this. And again, we have the storm spinning, maybe reorganizing a little bit. It's getting some interference from storms off to the southwest of it. So it could be reorganizing just a bit, but still a mean looking storm right there. Let's go to our hail tracker. That is going to continue down to the southeast as well. So folks in Flat, looks like just out between Flat and the Grove, that's where we have the hail on 36. That will continue toward Lake Belton. So it looks like you're going to get a pretty good hailer there. Also southeast of Lampasas, moving toward Briggs. That's going to be likely producing some very large hail as well as that continues down to the southeast.
Let's go ahead and check the reflectivity on that. The hail tracker is a little bit behind. You'll notice that the hail core with that storm is near Ocala. This is going to be in the northeast part of Burnett County. That is an impressive return, at least from our hail tracker. It's getting into those pinks, and that could be in that baseball or upwards range. So folks in the northeast part of Burnett County need to be prepping for what could be some large hail, and that goes for western Bell County too, because if that holds together, we could be talking Max Dale and Highway 195. Could be seeing some of that very large hail coming in. Some of these hail cores have a tendency to pulse up and down, so it may not be as strong as it moves into those areas, but we want to be keeping that in the back of our mind regardless. And all of these areas are under a severe thunderstorm warning anyway, so you need to be bracing for the potential for some of that hail and strong winds as this continues to march through.
And Todd has some new information as well.
Yeah, Matt, it is after 3:30. Obviously, this is a time when usually students would be getting out of classes for the day in Bell County. As we told you a few minutes ago, KISD is holding all students that go to campuses on Fort Hood. So they are holding all of their students at Fort Hood campuses in Killeen ISD. We just saw Belton ISD posting to their Facebook page. They are asking buses to remain at campuses, and they're having students shelter. Secondary buses will run later once we're able to safely transport elementary students. So Belton ISD also having their students on a hold and sheltering on their campuses.
Okay, so, yep, mean storm rolling through Bell County right now. Know a lot of concerned parents with that. We're going to be right here with you, folks. We're not going anywhere. All right, there's in Killeen right now. You can see that we do have probably some hail starting to move into Killeen currently on the northwest side over Fort Hood as well. So we are starting to see that. That's our Clark roofing cam in Harker Heights looking off toward the northwest. Just starting to move into there right now. Let's go to our Killeen camera.
Okay.
We have it pointing to the roof. I don't see any hail bouncing on there just yet, but we'll see if there's any hail that forms. That's looking north. So the mall is on the right-hand side, just about a couple blocks down the road. So again, that's one Killeen Center there on 14. So very heavy rain, and we're probably gonna get some pretty good wind. You're probably gonna get some hail out of this as well. Matt, keep an eye on that Killeen camera. Also have our tornado warning continuing for Bell County. That continues to work its way off toward the southeast. Let's go to meteorologist Josh Johns and our 25 Storm Wrangler.
Matt, I'm watching that new developing wall cloud that's on the west side of 36. So this is going to be coming into that north side of Temple and Belton. It's been showing signs of organization. You can see, if you look, the inflow is really increasing up into it. The tree's kind of in the way there briefly, but that's where the lowest part of that wall cloud is.
All right, so again, we could be getting new rotation on the outside of this, so that's something that Josh is going to be watching very closely as it continues down into Bell County now. So a lot of hail likely associated with this as it continues down toward the southeast. So this could be another damaging hailstorm here across parts of our area, especially western Bell County. So we'll be keeping an eye on this, but if you can get into a garage, get under the carport or anything like that, don't park under bridges and overpasses. Don't do anything like that. That can make things a lot worse than a lot better. And you need to keep the roadways flowing here. Okay, so between Flat and the Grove, large hail here, golf ball size, maybe even a little bit larger. That will continue toward Lake Belton, west side of Killeen. Looks like between you and Cove, we're going to be seeing some of that larger hail as well. Could be up to golf ball size around Copper's Cove. And then down to the southwest into northeastern parts of Burnett County. That's where we also have the potential of some large hail as well. So our tornado warning continues for Bell County. It does not include you folks in Temple as of now. It does include the far northwestern portions of Belton and then to the northwest from there as it continues down the southeast. Let's go to velocity. Be right in here. Again, not as prevalent as it was, but still could produce a tornado at any time. Right now, it does not look like the signature it had just about 10, 15 minutes ago across Coryell County. So that's good news there, but it's still rotating, and it's still, I think, taking on more of a southeastern turn now. So it kind of went east, then southeast, then south, and now more to the east. I think the other storms are starting to push it more off toward the east. So right in here, so that's going to head toward Morgan's Point Resort and eventually possibly the Temple area as it works its way down toward the southeast. So folks in Temple, let's watch this one closely. You're going to get some wind in Nolanville and around Harker Heights as well, right over Lake Belton. Speaking of that, let's pull up that camera. Do we have that? Let's check on our Clark Roofing cam in Belton. And you can see the rain starting to take over now there, and the wind starting to increase as well. So a choppy lake and not seeing much definition as of right now, but high winds will be coming across Lake Belton as this thunderstorm continues down toward the southeast. And got to get some whitecaps there on the lake as well. So some very strong winds will be blowing across for Bell County. So Coryell County, it looks like the tornado part is ending for you. This is mainly going to be Bell County now as this works off toward the southeast, and we are looking at, again, a lot of grayed out sky. So not a lot of definition with this that we can confirm that there's anything back in that rain. And even if there's not, wind is wind, it could still produce some very strong winds as it makes its way closer to Temple. And we are getting a little bowing feature that's starting to increase here. So we may be going to a wind threat. May try to blow itself out here near Temple, right here. On the backside of that, we may start to get that wind to blow out of the backside, and we can get some really strong winds if that were to occur. So that's something that we need to watch out for. Remember, whether it's straight line wind, spinning wind, wind is wind, it's going to do what it's going to do. So folks in Temple, at least strong winds heading your way. Could be 60, 70 miles per hour plus in this thunderstorm as it works its way toward the southeast. And we do have the tornado warning that's still in effect, and that's for this area right here, still west of 36. Here's where 36 and 317 come together. So that's coming south out of McLennan County and to the north of you folks in Belton. So it's between Moody and Belton. That's going to be going right across 317. So right where that X is, 36 and 317, likely just right in here. It's probably where it's going to come across, and that goes right into the northwest side of Temple. So folks in Temple, we need to watch this one. You need to get ready to take your tornado precautions as you are under a tornado warning right now, and it could be still wrapped up in the rain. Caleb?
The winds feeding into the storm were a lot more impressive 30 minutes ago, and you can tell that just by looking at the colors. I want you folks to, at home, notice how we had those brighter reds and pinks. You can see the motion on it too. It's going up, and it's going around and going, tying into where we had that couplet. That part's gone. So the inflow winds are at least not as strong because we've lost, again, some of the really highlighted colors as far as reds go. Now, greens, those are the winds blowing toward the radar, so those are exiting the storm. Those are still pretty strong, and they could end up reinforcing the gust front here. And I can point out the gust front to you is where we have this line. It's where the reds and greens are going to meet. This is the gust front, so this is not anything rotating along this line that I'm annotating. That's all moving in one direction. So that's the greens overtaking the reds. So it will be interesting to see if we get some even stronger winds moving in one direction along that gust front as this storm progresses. If it does so, we're going to see those colors become brighter, and that would mean that we have an enhanced straight line wind threat in those areas, which could be taking place. Matt was noting that we're seeing more of a bowing structure there. It's another clue to us behind the scenes that something could be working in that direction, so we'll keep an eye on that.
All right, Josh continues to reposition. Josh, I just saw you do a loop-de-loop there. Where are you right now? What do you see?
We're going to go up 317 and catch 1237 to get over to Troy so that we could get out of some of this chaser convergence that's over there. I do see that this is looking a lot more outflow dominant than it did earlier.
Okay.
You can still see a very defined shelf that is actually behind us at this moment, but that is a sign that we're getting more of those gusty winds. I'm curious to see if the inflow will increase as we near Troy. If it does, that may tell us things are getting a little bit more organized, but right now it seems more outflow dominant than it did earlier.
And when Josh says outflow dominant, that's good news as far as tornadoes because it's the wind blowing out of the thunderstorm. But when a major supercell like this becomes outflow dominant, it can release a lot of wind. And a bow echo could be forming here northwest of Temple, right here west of 317. So that right there, that could be producing some very strong winds in excess of 60, 70 miles per hour as it continues down toward the Temple area. So that potential will exist. There will also be hail potential with this thunderstorm as well as it continues to march off toward the southeast. Not quite as prolific as it was, so coming down maybe quarter to golf ball size hail, but that's still enough. And then west side of Killeen extending down into northeastern parts of Burnett County, that will continue west of 195 and continue off toward the southeast across southwestern parts of Bell County.
We do have, I know some people chiming in on Facebook Live. They've been asking some questions, and some of those are kind of being fed to me as well. We've got some viewers in Copperas Cove who are wanting to know the situation there, and I'll tell you that the worst of it is pretty much over for you in Copperas Cove. The stronger winds have made it beyond you, and so has the hail. A lot of lightning there and a lot of heavy rain, so I'm sure it's noisy. But for Copperas Cove, the worst is beyond you. The hail core is going to be where we see these darker reds and purples, and unfortunately, that's going to be right over top of Killeen right now, in addition to coming into the Maxdale area. The radar algorithm in terms of our hail tracker is going to suggest perhaps hen egg size hail. It could be larger than that, but that's going to be a pretty sizable core that goes from Killeen and I-14 all the way down into the northeast fringe of Burnett County. So hail's likely happening there, and it's going to be crossing 195 before too long. In addition to that, we're seeing some hail possible over Lake Belton. That's probably not as large, but still could be golf ball size. Don't want to mess with that anyway. So keep that in mind, and we're going to also watch for perhaps some straight line winds attempting to ramp up. That's not necessarily happening right now. We're going to watch to see if it does. As this storm system continues to take a more linear shape, we're going to see that threat become a little bit more prominent throughout the evening. And if I see anything reports as regards to wind gusts, I'll pass that along. We're actually seeing some automated reports from the airports here. Hail's reported at the municipal airport or the regional airport in Killeen. Nothing that really says a strong wind gust is 38 knots, but 1-inch hail was reported at the airport a short time ago.
All right, so we are getting some hail, especially on the southwest side of Killeen with that. Still going to be a little loud for you there. Also moving into Temple. We still have a little inflow notch right here, and that's going to be between Temple and Troy right here. So we may still have a little bit of inflow in here that could promote tornado growth, and this is the spin right in here. So going to there, so not as tight. It's not touching like it was earlier, but the likelihood of at least rotation and strong storm winds coming out of this is going to be pretty high as it makes its way into the Temple area. We could be looking at 60 plus, maybe even higher than that. So that is going to be blowing right into Temple. It's right, looks like the gust front's just on the west side of the loop right now. Will continue to work its way on through. So that's going to be some strong wind for you folks in the Temple area. Also going through Nolanville, Harker Heights, seeing some strong winds as well. Is that a new severe thunderstorm warning?
We have another to mention. Let me go up to the north. I want to just briefly mention our friends up here in Bosque County. A thunderstorm has gotten going. It's got some severe criteria with it. This is going to be for parts of Hill County and Bosque County. It is a severe thunderstorm warning that's going to be in effect until 4 o'clock, so about another 12 minutes on that. And it has the potential to produce quarter-size hail and 60-mile-per-hour winds. So we do have that cell in the northern end of our viewing area. Those took a little longer to get going because we had some airport soundings from Dallas-Fort Worth. They said the cap was taking a little longer to break up there, but it looks like it did. But fortunately, those do not appear to be as severe as what we have taking on in the southern areas of our viewing area.
And this is going to be the main line here. So Waco, China Spring, McGregor, looks like we've avoided the main part of this. We got it again a couple days ago. So hopefully it will not be impacting you quite as bad this time. Looks like the strongest activity will be Moody South. So that's mainly across parts of Bell County where our tornado warning continues in effect. Moving closer in, folks, from I-35 between Troy and Temple and back toward the west. It does not officially include you folks in the Temple area. We'll see if they reissue or not, but some strong winds associated with this, likely coming in with a little bowing feature on the south side of what has been our dominant cell that makes its way across the loop now and then eventually toward downtown and then across the eastern parts of Temple as well. And a lot of heavy rain associated with this. So stay put where you are right now. Let's let these storms pass by. Things will get better for your Friday evening. It's only 3:50 in the afternoon. It feels like 7 o'clock right now, but it's only 3:50 in the afternoon. So we're going to get a lot of this east of I-35 just in time for your Friday evening plan. So that's good news for you there. So we will be watching that, but tornado warning continues. And again, we still may have a little bit of inflow here west of Troy, and we need to keep a close eye on that area. I know we have Josh Johns out in our 25 Storm Wrangler. He's trying to stay out ahead of this. So he's driving around. Josh, are you there?
Yeah, we are here, Matt. We did see a brief increase in inflow as we came up towards 1237, which again cuts from 317 over towards the Love truck stop on 35. We did see a little brief increase of inflow, and then we got outflow that came out. So I still think the outflow is winning. We're watching the edge of this entire shelf cloud to see if anything's getting together. I have seen things try to briefly get together from time to time, but I think the outflow is cutting them off. We're about to approach I-35, so I'll be able to turn around, give you a look at that, and then figure out what our next move is.
All right, so again, the circulation's not as prominent north of Morgan's Point Resort. So that's good news, but it still has the potential to tighten up here. That's why the tornado warning's still in effect. And this goes until 4 o'clock, correct?
It does go until 4 o'clock, and they noted that if this doesn't wrap up in some way, they're going to let it expire at 4 and continue with a severe thunderstorm warning.
Okay, so bit of good news there. Still going to get some strong wind and some hail and some heavy rain blowing through Temple. But we're getting some of the water in the lake, so I guess that is a bit of good news right there. Very heavy rain around Killeen. Still, House Hollow Lake will be getting some heavy rain out of this as well. And it's falling west of the lake too, so that means a lot of water will be flowing on in. So that's what we need. We need heavy convective rains like this to help fill up our lake. So want to give you a little positive along with all the negatives we've been talking about here and some severe weather. It does look like this is starting to line out more, which means we're losing supercell characteristics and becoming a squall line of thunderstorms. As that marches to the southeast, that could increase the wind potential, lower the tornado potential, but increase the wind potential. Hail would still be a possibility as well. So that'll be something that we're just got to watch very closely. But if there's still a little bit of a spin, it's going to go right here near Troy, right in here. So that spin right there, definitely taking on more of an eastward advance because the rest of the line caught up with it. It's forcing it to move more east than to the southeast. Therefore, it's lost some of its inflow, which is all good news. But we still could get strong winds coming out of this and moving into the Temple area here over the next several minutes. So in Temple, just stay where you are, and we will continue to track that closely. Again, looks like the main threat starting to move into Temple right now. So the line's starting to move on in, some gusty winds with the gust front coming into the west side from I-35 to the west. That will continue to march off to the east, and we will see that eventually impact you folks over into Falls County. So Falls, get ready for likely a line of severe thunderstorms as it rolls through. But the strongest part of the winds right now are going to be between Troy and Temple, right here. You can see that kind of bowed out just a little bit on the south side of what has been our dominant supercell, which has been located right here. So as that bows out, we may get some really strong wind here across I-35. So that will continue to make its way off toward the east and then back toward Killeen. Again, still heavy rain, could be some hail. You'll be close to the back edge of this soon. Cove, you are on the back edge as of right now. A lot of this is going to pass off to the southeast, and then you'll be done for the rest of tonight going into the weekend. and that will continue down toward the southeast. So we are looking at that. Again, tornado warning continues in effect for the northern parts of Bell County, severe thunderstorm warning for the rest of Bell County. Let's go to our hail tracker. And it looks like some sizable hail on the south side of Killeen, then heading down 195 here, moving into the southwestern parts of Bell County. So that's going to be our biggest hail core in Bell County currently on the south side of Killeen. Then off to the northeast of that, again, that supercell hasn't produced quite as much. Let's go back to our hail tracker on that. And it looks like the hail has come down considerably. So I think we're losing our supercell here. The updraft's not nearly as sustained. That is good news that it's coming down some. But when supercells collapse, they like to produce wind. So let's go back to the reflectivity and show you that's likely what we're seeing. We're getting that bow right here. That's about to hit I-35 between Temple and Troy. That's going to be some strong wind. It's going to be parallel, or not parallel, perpendicular to I-35. So high-profile vehicles may have a hard time here over the next few minutes as that continues to work its way through Troy and Temple. So that could be some pretty strong wind that's blowing on through there. I think our circulation continues to lessen, which is good news. But we do have the high winds blowing across the Temple area. That will continue to work its way across the city here over the next few minutes. So get away again, west-facing windows may have some quarter to golf ball size hail still, more in the quarter range now than anything else. So this one has come down quite a bit. So the parent supercell is starting to lose some of its characteristics as it's now gusting out. And that's what Josh was saying just about 20 minutes ago when he was talking with us from the Storm Wrangler. He said it looked a little more gusty. That was coming more out of the thunderstorm, a little more outflow, and that's exactly what we're seeing right now. Blow right across I-35 between Troy and Temple. That's where the strongest winds are going to be right now.
And speaking of Josh, we're looking at his shot, and we've got that up live in the studio. Just as an aside, we're looking at where he's at. I don't know his particular location, but he's under an overpass or passing through there now. We've got cars on both sides that have stopped on the shoulder. Ladies and gentlemen, please don't do that. That is exactly what we ask you not to do in situations like these, because that puts you and other people in danger. I know it's tempting to want to seek shelter from the storm when you've got an overpass like that in your vehicle, but 100% don't do that. Josh is looking like he's got some rain where he is. He's on the move, and you can tell from our shot, and we'll probably pull that up here for you in a little bit, but there's, yeah, that is Josh's shot. The heaviest stuff is off to his left. That's probably a frontage road on I-35 is where he's at right now. So he's repositioning. Speaking of the wind there, Matt, 52 knots at the Killeen Airport. In knots, that is 60 miles per hour.
Yep.
So that is among severe criteria with this thunderstorm.
All right, so we have had 60-mile-per-hour winds in Killeen, and that's not, I think the winds could be stronger on between Troy and Temple here. So let's go to Josh. I know he's near Troy right now in Bell County. Josh, what do you have?
Yeah, Matt, we've gotten overtaken a bit by the winds. We haven't gotten the really strong winds yet, but we're on the leading edge of the winds. We're passing the Love's truck stop. We're trying to get on 35, get to Troy, and get east. But a lot of folks that are just trying to move around on the highways here and clogged it up a bit. But the rain now coming down in buckets, and the winds shifted to the west. So I know the highest wind is still behind us and is coming.
All right, so again, which way are you headed right now?
North into Troy.
Okay, so he's heading northbound into Troy. You can see a lot of folks there on I-35, and they're going to try to get eastbound here. Lots of lightning associated with this. There's going to be blinding rain as well. Could be some pretty strong winds coming with that as well. We've had 60-mile-per-hour winds reported, so at least that will be potential as this makes its way off toward the east. So the tornado warning goes for the next couple of minutes, but I do think that's going to be allowed to expire, so that's some good news.
Yeah, they're going to let it go. The severe thunderstorm warning that is over top of it is going to continue for a little while. I'll double check that. There's your tornado warning until 4, and the severe thunderstorm warning here, it's going to probably go for a little bit longer because it has a slightly larger box. That is, yeah, until 4:15. So that has another residence time of about 17 minutes or so with that severe thunderstorm warning.
And that's for Bell County, but again, we're losing the tornado characteristics, and that is wonderful news. This thing probably produced right over Fort Hood. Hopefully it was over mainly rural sections, and that's what you want to see, mainly over rural areas and not right in the middle of a populated area. So hopefully it did its thing there without doing too much damage. We'll have to get with the officials of Fort Hood on that, as we did likely have potential for a tornado west of Flat. It looked like it on radar earlier. Now that has subsided. Flat, you're on the back edge. Things are going to calm down for you soon. Gatesville, things are calming down for you right now. Things are about to ramp up for you in Marlin, Rosebud, Lott, Cameron, down to Salado, Little River Academy, down toward Georgetown. This is all going to ramp up for you. Waco, you're seeing a little bit of rain right now, but we're not seeing significant storm activity. Looks like we may miss a lot of this in Waco, and that's okay. Yes, we need the rain, but it's okay not to see the severe weather. I'm sure a lot of folks near China Springs saw plenty of that 2 days ago, so probably a little bit of a blessing there that we're not seeing as much in McLennan County as of right now. Current time is 4 p.m. You're watching 25 ABC, and we have no more tornado warnings in effect here across central Texas, but severe weather still blowing through our most populated county of Bell County. Some of those winds could be in excess of 60 miles per hour. We could see some hail as well fall from this. We've had quarter-size hail and larger being reported. We had hail near Gatesville earlier. We've had reports of a little bit of damage in Gatesville with a tree going into a house on a storm report there. So we'll be checking that out, and we could be getting more strong winds. And you can see we're starting to get the green line here. Southeast of Temple, down towards Salado. That's outflow coming from this. When you get outflow, you lose your tornado potential. So that is good news that we're seeing outflow mainly with this thunderstorm line as it continues off to the southeast. But these will continue to be very hefty thunderstorms. Very heavy rain, the potential of some flooding, and I think we have a flood advisory.
That is, in fact, a flash flood warning,
flash flood
Matt.
warning.
That's going to go until 7 o'clock. This was just issued. Let me turn off the radar so you can see where that has been drawn. And a lot of it is underneath that severe thunderstorm warning. But that green box is the new flash flood warning. This is for parts of Bell and Coryell County until 7 o'clock. This has been issued because the National Weather Service says 1 to rain have already fallen. Additional rainfall amounts of 1 to 2 inches are possible. And flash flooding in these areas is either ongoing or expected to begin shortly. So for those areas shaded in green, that's a flash flood warning, goes until 7 o'clock.
So again, that's another aspect of severe weather that people sometimes ignore. But in and around Killeen, down to Salado, Belton, you know you can flood pretty easily. And you got the Nolan Creek and Salado Creek down there. That all can come up really fast. So that potential does exist. So if you see rising water, stay away from it. I know it's tempting to try to go closer to it. It's cool to see, but if you have rising water, make sure you stay away and stay safe out of that. So a flash flood warning now in effect for Bell County, and we're going to be seeing some very heavy rain right along I-35 as well. It's the weekend, people trying to get away on a Friday afternoon, so we are going to be tracking that very closely as that continues off toward the southeast. So this is going to pick up speed eventually. It will get out of here probably by about 5:30 out of Bell County, but it's going to be a little while till it does. So that's why we are tracking that very closely. Charles, will you tell me what you just told me?
So it looks like,
We're coming on a break.
All right, so looks like
here, I'll show you. Let me get
down
you,
toward the south-southeast. Folks in Temple, you're getting the wind right now.
at least for the
Heavy
Waco,
rain, but at least the parent supercell has pretty much collapsed.
you
So
can
the
see
good news is we're not seeing anything.
right
I
there,
don't see
we're
anything
only going to
to
get
indicate a tornado. The old circulation
some,
right up in here,
some
so that's
a dump of rain,
circulation was tighter,
but the severe weather
falling apart altogether.
is,
We can be
dividing.
thankful for that. That super
and it
cell
looks
was
like a little bit
interacting
might
with
be going up to
other
Hillsboro,
thunderstorms
which is
now,
just
using
north
that
of
energy,
West.
and they kind of tore it apart.
And
We will
the severe
have
stuff
very heavy rain falling across Bell County right now.
is all
Not
down
so
in
much
Bell
over
County.
McLennan
We're up in
County,
McLennan County.
So you're getting a little bit.
I'm
of
probably
rain
going to
through
stop
the
this
southern
the
half of
live
Bell
stream
County,
right
but
now.
not nearly as much as it makes its way off toward the south. There's other thunderstorms developing to the
I'll do
north.
another stream
We'll see if they
if
slow down at all, but a lot of the energy
if more
is
severe
already
weather should
sent
show
those
up.
thunderstorms to
we're
the
expected
south.
to have a little
So
bit
a few of
more
those may try to
up
move
until
toward
about
Waco, but I think that would be more of a small hail threat and wind.
7 o'clock.
A lot of our dynamics.
I know we're both talking at once. Sorry.
With the main line, but still,
We'll catch up with you.
had that severe thunderstorm warning there, Lake
I'm going to
Whitney
stop
is
the
no
stream
longer
now.
in a severe thunderstorm warning.
Take care, you guys.